everybody. Welcome to another episode of Classic Gaming Brothers. I'm Zach.
And I'm Seth.
And we're the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right. We are the Classic Gaming Brothers.
We are the Classic Gaming Brothers. That's who we are. That's what we do.
Always classy, sometimes classic.
Always.
Wait.
Whoa. I'm keeping that in. Always classic, sometimes classic. Nope. Not got that one either. One day we'll get it to stick.
I can't segue into that.
Nope. So yeah, it's episode 63. We are here to talk about some great things. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Isn't that right, brother?
We always talk about only great things.
So, Seth, what have you been playing?
So recently I've been playing a game called The Occupation, which was developed by White Paper Games and actually published by Humble Bundle.
Oh, cool.
It came out back in 2019, and it is a fixed-time investigative thriller. It's set in Northwest England on Saturday, the 24th of October, 1987. So I actually, when I originally saw this game, I was interested in it. It looks like a first-person story-heavy game. And I saw time, and somewhere along the line, my brain thought it was a time-traveling game. And I was like, ooh, a time-traveling game. That's exciting. So then I bought it. I actually feel like I've made up the time-traveling mechanic, and it's not actually a time-traveling mechanic. And it's actually a real-life mechanic. There is an intro to the game where you play through the perspective of one character, and then it shifts to another character, where your character is told that they have an hour to get to a meeting. And during that hour, you have to kind of sneak around an area and try to uncover as much information as you can.
Okay.
And that hour passes in real time.
Oh.
So when they say you have an hour to get somewhere,
You have an hour.
you have exactly an hour to get there.
Wow. Okay. That's cool.
If you're just hanging around listening to records in your house, you're possibly going to screw up your chances of uncovering stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I played the intro and I started the beginning of the game. Well, I played through the intro part of the game, which is actually a pretty decent amount of gameplay. And then I got to the part where it actually gets into like the fixed time mechanic.
Yeah.
And I haven't actually started it. And I'm glad that I recently discovered that it was not a time-traveling game. I swear I thought it was a time-traveling game up until a few moments ago.
Nice. Well, hey, sometimes you just gotta have a time travel game that doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I'm pining for the days of Journeyman Project.
Oh, Journeyman Project.
So, what have you recently been playing?
I've recently been playing Transport Tycoon Deluxe.
Oh, is that Chris Sawyer?
It is Chris Sawyer. I've been playing it thanks to a port called OpenTTD, which allows you to play Transport Tycoon Deluxe in glorious 1080p, 60 frames per second, and on modern computers. So, Transport Tycoon Deluxe is, yes, a Chris Sawyer game that was released in 1995. It is actually an update to the original Transport Tycoon that came out the year prior. OpenTTD, the port, was made by a guy named Ludwig Striges and originally released in 2008, but has since been updated as of August 2020 and actually is continuously updated, and they are planning to release it via Steam in the near future as a free download, but just on the platform. To play OpenTTD, you will need an official copy of Transport Tycoon Deluxe, but it is available via Abandonware, or you could use the original CD if you own it. If you don't feel like downloading the Abandonware file on the Abandonware website or going to find the CD, it does offer you the opportunity to use graphics that are not from Transport Tycoon Deluxe. So you can play the game, but it uses like freeware graphics essentially. The UI for the game is pretty identical to Roller Coaster Tycoon, and I've never played Transport Tycoon before. I've recently been playing it now, so I get very thrown off by it because it's
a lot of windows.
But even the like actual menu looks identical to Roller Coaster Tycoon, like the aesthetic. So I keep thinking that certain things are in certain places, but they're not because this is a different game. But it's pretty fun. You mostly are building on infrastructure of different towns and connecting them via different forms of transportation, as the name would imply.
I always like building the gigantic railroad station and then having like a million trains leave.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I do, and then I just close it.
I've been connecting towns via roads and just having a good time doing that.
Ooh, maybe you'll upgrade to trains soon.
Maybe I'll upgrade to trains soon. So, yeah, that's what I've been playing. To get into today's episode, this episode is actually going to be partially a fan suggestion. We had a fan of the show who reached out to us and suggested that we talk about mods and hacks, who goes by the username SSG Infinite Sonic, who also has a Twitch. And they followed us recently, and they suggested that we talk about this topic, which are mods and hacks, which is something that is very entwined with retro games and classic games. So I think it's a very on-topic thing that we could talk about. So Seth, before we get into everything, do you have any memories of playing any of hacks or mods or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like, especially like Nexus Mod. Like Nexus Mod is the shtick, as it were. I really enjoyed modding out like Bethesda games.
Oh yeah.
So like I think that I did do an attempt where I tried to get every single mod for Morrowind, like the original Morrowind game.
Yeah.
And then attempt to put every single mod that I could into Morrowind to see if how like modern I can make it with just using mods alone. And you can get it to a pretty good state to play. So I really enjoy those. Played some like Endriel, which is a total mod conversion of a game.
Yeah.
Which is cool in my mind. Like taking a game and modding it so completely that you have created another game.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And that even goes back to like Neverwinter Nights. So I used to play a lot of Neverwinter Nights, and they had a very strong modding community. And in fact, they had such a strong modding community, there was a mod called the Kingmaker, which was a module that was it was a mod that was created by the community that they sold as an expansion pack to the game because it was so well done that they bought the rights to sell it and then packaged it and gave it to people. So when you bought Neverwinter, you could buy Neverwinter Kingmaker, and that was the mod that was actually created by the fan.
Oh, cool.
So, and also like I can keep thinking about games like Half-Life and like all the different mods that came off of Half-Life. I think there's always, for every game that I've played, there is some sort of also like mod that I've also enjoyed on it, which is one of the primary reasons that I am such a diehard PC gamer, is the ability to easily mod things. Even like Crusader Kings 3, I was playing a total conversion where I could play it in the World of Darkness, which is so not only am I taking this like grand strategy game, which is by itself kind of a niche genre, grand strategy, but there's a big enough community out there that they totally converted the mod so that I can play this grand strategy game as a vampire from the World of Darkness, which is another niche genre.
No, that's really cool.
And there's stuff that's like, there's also mods that I've been really excited about but have never come to fruition. So there was a mod to take Baldur's Gate 2 and do a redux of it and put it through the Neverwinter Nights 2 engine.
Oh, that's smart.
And I saw some of the early gameplay trailers and stuff like that and looked really, really, really cool. Unfortunately, I think there was some issues with it, and I believe the project was scrapped.
That's unfortunate.
They have the Fallout New Vegas, is it the Star Wars mod?
Oh yeah,
that's coming through where they're converting the mod. So I'm part of that Discord. Like I just want to see that project come to fruition. Where if you don't know about this, there is a Fallout New Vegas mod that's in the pipeline where they're planning on converting it to a Star Wars game.
That's awesome.
Which we'll see how far they get before Disney rears its head.
Yeah.
And slaps them down. What about you?
I mean, apart from very similar, I've played plenty of Bethesda mods for different games like Skyrim or Fallout, but I've also got really into retro hacks of games such as Mario hacks and Sonic hacks, Zelda hacks. Primarily, the only way to play those is through emulation, but I recently came across a EverDrive, which is a flash cart for the Sega Genesis, or I have one for the Sega Genesis. So I'm able to put hacks onto that for Sega games if I want to play them on real hardware, which is really cool. Besides from that, I also was really like Doom mods and Half-Life mods. There was a period of time where I was playing a bunch of Half-Life 1 mods because I had a computer that was only really good at running Half-Life 1 and nothing else. So I kind of needed to make Half-Life 1. It's a great game, but I kind of needed to make it last me until I could get a better computer at the time. So I downloaded plenty of mods for that. There was one in particular called Poke 646, which was a completely new storyline set in the Half-Life universe where you play as this guy who who goes through the Resonance Cascade and has to fight aliens and humans that are trying to kill him. But I remember the coolest thing was that they replaced a lot of the weapons with like just random things that you'd find at like a hardware store. Like it replaces the pistol with a nail gun, and it just is very cool, like the stuff that people do to get these games to be kind of a new experience. But yeah, that's my memories. So to go into the whole hacking and modding scene, we're going to be tossing around some words that we've already used a couple, but we wanted to make sure that we kind of did a little vocab section. So this I guess is like the glossary to this episode. So just come back to this part if you forget what a word means. That's convenient.
Yes. That's especially in a linear podcast.
Yes, exactly. So but
go back to this particular timestamp and
yeah. But you might hear us toss around words like total conversion or mod or hack and really not know what exactly these means in context of video games. So, Seth, do you want to take us away on a vocab lesson?
Yes, vocab 101. So a hack is often used in conjunction with retro console games. It can be applicable for modern games as well. Hacks primarily alter the original code of the game. This can be done via a variety of methods, and there are a lot of tools that are out there that offer assistance in manipulating the code of the game to suit your liking. This applies primarily to retro games, as retro games don't necessarily offer the same creative control that more modern games do. So hacking really is how you can mod like a console game. Because the console game, well, especially older like cartridge-based console games and stuff like that, where they are extremely limited in regards to, you can't go to the Zelda Ocarina of Time Nexus mod and download the mod directly into your N64 cartridge. So you have to get those type of changes done directly into the code of the game if you want Link to have a different color shirt or something.
Yeah, exactly. And Nintendo isn't out there offering the tools to do this, where some companies that when they release their game for like in a modern game for the PC might even provide you with the development tools via a separate download or even a separate purchase. So the next word would be mod. So this is a use that we might actually end up using this kind of interchangeably with hack, but for purposes of the vocab lesson now is that mods is it's pretty much alteration that's done using approved methods. So whereas a hack, you're going into the code of the game and altering things that would have not been easy for someone to alter, say back in the 1980s or 90s when they first purchased that game. Whereas with a mod, you're taking available tool sets that were available to you, again, sometimes through the developer, and altering the game that way. And a lot of games do come bundled with developer tools. And they're not always like available on startup, but I mean, even games like Warcraft and Warcraft 3, even games like Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3 came with custom map makers, which in a way were development tools and in a way allowed for modding. In fact, a lot of Warcraft 3 mods were built solely using the custom map maker. Again, mods are done to offer kind of new and creative experiences for players.
That's something that I was just thinking about was the difference between the intent, I think, as well.
Yeah.
So I think when you hack something, you may have a nefarious intent versus when you mod something. For example, when the original XCOM and the XCOM Terror from the Deep game came out, I was a child. So that game was very difficult. And in order for me to have any success in that game, I had to cheat. But there were no cheat codes built into the game. So I don't know, I was in middle school or around then, had to go and download third-party applications and change the code of the game so that my characters could have additional armor. But I mean, at least I was a smart enough young child to be able to figure that out.
Yeah.
However, modern day XCOM, you can download a mod and you can convert all of your people to Star Wars people. So you can have stormtroopers. You can make all the aliens different members of the Empire factions. So you can make them stormtroopers, and like I think you can have like AT-AT drivers or something, and commanders and stuff like that. And then you can make all of your people the Rebel Alliance, and you can make pew pew like instead of they can have like Star Wars guns. You have to use multiple mods to do it, but you can essentially turn XCOM into a Star Wars game, which is I feel like not nefarious, right? It's just whatever.
It's just fun.
It's just adding a flavor to it. Whereas what I was doing to the original XCOM was manipulating the game to my advantage or hacking it, as it were. So there is also total conversions, what we talk about. Total conversions are often used in association with mods, as total conversions are complete overhauls that provide an entirely new experience unique to the game. Some total conversions run independent of the original game, using only the base code as a jumping off point. So one popular example is Sonic Robo Blast 2, a total conversion of Doom, which turns the FPS Doom into a third-person Sonic game.
Which and even that has mods for it. So you can mod the total conversion of Doom to that plays Sonic games to do other things. Like I think someone even modded it to just turn it back to Doom, like so you can like shoot robots with a shotgun.
Right, and or Endriel for Skyrim is a total conversion of Skyrim and turns Skyrim from the game of Skyrim to a horror game.
Yeah. So I guess the question comes into play: why do people mod and hack? And the reason is there's a variety of reasons. Some people might do it for nefarious reasons. I mean, there's plenty of people who used to hack games such as multiplayer games to maybe provide aim assist or be able to shoot through walls. Some people, though, may add mods to a game like Skyrim or Fallout for purposes of quality of life improvement, such as numerous bug fixes, lighting fixes, graphical overhauls, and assorted optimization tweaks that just make the game maybe run better on the system you're playing in. Minecraft is really famous for this, so in the early days of Minecraft, it was heavily unoptimized to run on most systems. It ran okay, but even some higher-end systems had issues running it, so Optifine was developed, which was a mod for Minecraft that became incredibly popular and actually is a requirement for some other mods, but it just kind of optimizes everything as the name implies. Alternatively, someone may just want to turn all the dragons in Skyrim into Thomas the Tank Engine trains or Macho Man Randy Savage, both of which are actual mods you can download for Skyrim. They are hilarious. I did the train one. It's great because it also changes all the dragon roars to doot doot. So like you'll just hear a quiet doot in the background, and suddenly like James will be coming at you from the sky just blowing fire and ice. So modders also may just want a new experience to what the original game has to offer. For example, one of the earliest mods was Castle Smurfenstein from 1983, which was a graphical change to Muse's Castle Wolfenstein that changed all the Nazis into the Smurfs. Or another hack, which was offering a new way to play a game, such as Super Mario Bros. 3 Mix, which is a modification of the original Super Mario Bros. 3. Now, this hack offers entirely new level designs, new worlds, brand new collectibles, and other features that were brought over from future Mario games, such as a rideable Yoshi. Now, mods are often released for free through a variety of different distribution methods, probably the wildest being cereal boxes, as we talked about with Chex Quest, which Chex Quest is a total conversion for Doom. But some are sold, such as Gary's Mod, which is a sandbox tool for the Source engine, and was originally developed as a mod for Half-Life 2, and Dear Esther, which started life as a Source mod and later was ported to Unity.
Though some mods can just be collected through the workshop and Steam. So is any of this legal? It really depends, right? Some mods gain the blessing of the original developers, such as Black Mesa, which looks to recreate the original Half-Life in the much more improved Source engine. Other examples of positive feedback include id Software, including some fan-made level mods in the official release of Doom and Doom 2 on the PS4, Switch, and the Xbox One. Modders often are very cognizant of the legality of their work and frequently require a legal copy of the game to be acquired before you can play the mod. Sometimes this is due to the mod requiring specific assets, but other times it's because the modder refuses to offer an opportunity to pirate the original product, essentially also covering their own basis, saying you can use this product, but you have to own the game that I've modified. I'm not giving you the game for free. Some companies like Bethesda actually have a mod workshop that you have to pay for some of their mods that their fans make.
Highly controversial.
Very controversial. Outside the original right holders of the game, issues can come into play by other IP holders. Some modders or hackers like to add in content from other properties, like making something Star Wars or Aliens. And This can cause issues with right holders of those IPs, like the Star Wars mod for XCOM. 2K and the XCOM people might not necessarily care if you're putting Star Wars into their game, but Disney might. And Disney holds the rights of Star Wars, so they may stop you from the other point of view. This can cause issues where they may submit a DMCA takedown, which is a Digital Millennial Copyright Act, where they submit that against you and you have to cease to doing it. Case in point, there is an Alien vs. Predator mod for Quake, which was legally contested by 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the Aliens vs. Predators game.
Which I imagine could have been the reason why they legally contested it, because the Aliens vs. Predator game was probably either coming out or available, and 20th Century Fox did not want to take revenue away from their IP. So, as mods tend to be free, there are exceptions though, as we mentioned with Bethesda, they usually stay off the radar of large copyright holders, but every now and then someone comes knocking. Nintendo in particular is notorious for removal of popular Mario or Zelda mods and fan games. Sega, on the other hand, is usually very supportive, and that's because Genesis does what Nintendo don't. The more troublesome legal issues come into play when a hack or a mod is sold without proper permission, and a lot of retro game hacks end up being sold through unlicensed cartridges or bootlegged by various online retailers. You can go onto Etsy right now, or AliExpress or eBay. If you look up like Sonic game, you're probably going to find like 30 different unlicensed hacks.
Or the GoldenEye sequel, Goldfinger.
There's a Goldfinger mod that someone released as a cartridge. Or there's one where they replace the characters in GoldenEye with Mario characters. While some hackers may give their blessing to this action, selling a game with an intellectual property that you don't own is definitely not legal. So you're really stepping into a place of, you got to be really careful if that's going to be how you make your money. So,
however, selling something that's modded off of something that nobody owns,
that's right.
You're probably moving into being in the clear. But game IPs are something that I see get switched around and revived, and like they sometimes, you may think that they're not owned by anybody, but somewhere along the line someone like may pick it up and revitalize them, like XCOM,
or like when we were talking about Wolfenstein a few episodes ago, the fact that the IP holder had the rights to Wolfenstein expire before it acquired them, but they were owned by just some like dude in Michigan. You know, like stuff like that happens. Like some guy just will own the rights to something, and who knows, maybe he wants a cut of the check. So going from there, we're going to talk about some well-known mods and hacks and such. And these are games that you might have heard of and maybe not realize that they were originally made as a modification to something, or even as something that wasn't authorized by the original right holder. Modding and hacking has been with video games since the early days, from arcade board kit modifications to the early PC modification tools such as Forgotten Realms' Unlimited Adventures from our buddies over at SSI, or even the open source nature of things like the Doom engine. Modding and hacks also haven't stayed out of the public eye. Quite the opposite. A lot of titles started life as a mod or a hack and paved the way for new games or even entirely new genres.
One such mod that you may or may not have heard of is Ms. Pac-Man. Released in 1983, Ms. Pac-Man was originally made as a modification board to the Pac-Man arcade machine. The modification provided new artificial intelligence for the ghosts, new mazes, and faster gameplay. The company that created the mod, General Computer Corporation, which was founded by a group of college-age students, was threatened by legal action from Atari. They presented their design to Midway, and Midway purchased the project. Namco initially didn't provide their blessing, but reportedly Namco president Masa Nakamura offered feedback on the player character's design. The game ended up selling 125,000 cabinets and made $1.2 billion by 1987. So something where the original holders attempted to stop this from going out, and it went out.
Another little mod that you may or may not have heard of is Counter-Strike. It was released commercially in November of 2000, but the first Counter-Strike was initially developed as a modification for the game Half-Life by a person known as Min Guzman Lee and Jess Cliff, and that was in 1999. They had previously worked on mods for the Quake engine, but when the Gold Source Software Development Kit, or SDK, became available, they shifted to this new engine. So the original Half-Life was released on something called Gold Source, which was a heavily updated version of the Quake engine and provided a lot better features than the original Quake engine had to offer, so it was something that modders especially wanted to shift over to when it was readily available. They wanted their game Counter-Strike to feel very similar to other military tactical shooters such as Rainbow Six and Spec Ops. Now, Counter-Strike is a multiplayer shooter following two groups, terrorists and counter-terrorists. The purpose of the terrorists is to eliminate the counter-terrorists and complete their objectives. The purpose of the counter-terrorists is to eliminate the terrorists.
As life should be.
Around the time of the 5th beta for the original Counter-Strike, Valve came in and offered to buy the intellectual property and offered jobs to both Lee and Cliff. Valve released the first non-beta version of the game in 2000.
Counter-Strike was a massive success, and as hopefully you know listening to this podcast, and was a huge win for Valve. The game holds strong reviews from all major publications and went on to sell 250,000 units by 2001. This number, by 2003, had already increased to 1.5 million units. The retail version in the United States made an estimated $15.7 million by the summer of 2006, and the Xbox port of the game sold around 1.5 million copies in total. Counter-Strike is best known for its role in creating what we now know as esports. So the original Counter-Strike is also known as Counter-Strike 1.6. And following that, there was Counter-Strike Source and Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which became even bigger in the esport industry and still holds a very strong fan base. I think there's still millions of people playing all of the Counter-Strikes at any point in time in the day. It's just a solid game. I played a lot of Counter-Strike. It was also like the game that you would play at a cafe.
Yes, yeah,
So you would, like a computer cafe, you and like 6 of your friends would go to a computer cafe and you'd sit down and you would boot up Counter-Strike. And in that cafe, there were probably 6 other people that are also going to be playing Counter-Strike. And then you would play Counter-Strike, maybe 1.6 at that time. But at that point in time, you'd be going up against them. I primarily came into playing Counter-Strike around the end of 1.6 and the beginning of Source, and then played a lot of both. And it's a fun game. Counter-Strike will probably have an episode in its own right, but there was times where I was playing Counter-Strike at like 4 or 5 in the morning, questioning my life choices and just how it is.
And another game is Defense of the Ancients, or Dota. So Defense of the Ancients, better known as Dota, is currently a standalone title being published by Valve Software as Dota 2. The original game was born as a modification. The first Dota came out in 2003 and was designed by 3 different modders: EUL or Ewell, Steve Feek, and Icefrog. Don't know if that's his given name, but it's a good name.
Probably. I hope so.
It was a modification of the Blizzard real-time strategy game Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos, and its expansion, The Frozen Throne. So Dota is what is called a multiplayer online battle arena, or MOBA for short. MOBAs are very similar to real-time strategy games, but instead of focus on controlling an army or amassing resources, you are primarily focused on your hero character. The resource management in the army is completely automated, and the emphasis is put more into leveling up your individual hero in different classes and such. Dota itself is actually heavily inspired by a custom map of StarCraft called Aeon of Strife from 1998.
You know what's interesting about this is that Valve owns Dota, right?
Yeah.
Which came from Warcraft 3.
Yes.
Which was recently remastered by Blizzard Activision to not allow custom maps.
Yes. Yeah. Like, what the hell?
Which led to the rise of Dota, which is a multi-million-dollar franchise. So Blizzard Activision is literally just like, we don't want innovation. And Valve is like, yeah, we'll just have that. and will buy it.
One of my favorite things about Dota is just it became so popular at the time of release that there's actually a song by a Swedish dance DJ named Bass Hunter. And the song is called, in Swedish, Vi sitter I Ventrilo och spelar Dota, which translates to "We're sitting in Ventrilo playing Dota." Ventrilo being a popular voice chat service that was available in the early 2000s. And literally, it's this like powerful bass song that people have probably heard before. Like, I bet if I played a sample of it, I probably can't, because we'd probably get our episode like banned by Warner. It's owned by Warner Music. Of course we would get it banned by Warner Music. But I'll send it over to Seth and he can probably confirm. You've probably heard this song before. Like, this song would play at like middle school, high school dances, I remember. And it's literally just about a guy playing Dota, and that's all he's doing.
On Vent, which is its own thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays most voice over IP is done through Discord, which is funny because we can go on a tangent. I used to be a big TeamSpeak player.
Oh, yeah.
I used a lot of TeamSpeak and have now primarily switched over to Discord. And Discord won the audience because they provided their servers for free.
Thank goodness, because that's what we use for this podcast.
Well, I mean, but that's literally how Discord took everybody from their previous voice over IPs. So in 2009, to get back to the story of Ice Frog and Dota, in 2009, Ice Frog was hired by Valve Software to lead a team to develop what would become Dota 2. Dota was not the first MOBA, and it won't be the last MOBA for those. Arguably, the success of the first game paved the way for similar games like Riot Games' League of Legends, or Blizzard's own Heroes of the Storm. Funny fact, Blizzard actually did want a MOBA.
They just didn't want Dota.
They just didn't want Dota, apparently. Dota 2, while free to play, has still been able to generate over $406 million, and that was as of 2017, thanks to microtransactions and loot boxes. It's also very, very popular on the esports scene.
Yes.
Which, you got your Counter-Strikes, your Dotas, you've got League of Legends, Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft. They're all very popular esport games where you can make more money by gambling.
Last, but certainly not least, and because we can't go a single episode without me name dropping a Sonic game, Sonic Mega Mix. I really wanted to talk about this game because, unlike the others, it didn't spawn into an official game. However, one of the developers did go on to work on official projects. So Sonic Mega Mix was originally released in 2005 as part of the Sonic Hacking Contest competition, which occurs every single year. And it has, at least for the past, 15, 16 years. In the first build of Mega Mix, it was a fairly straightforward hack of the first Sonic game, with the major changes really only being a palette alteration and level layout changes, and also some music changes. Later builds, however, offered much bigger changes. Not only were the levels all fully redesigned, new characters were added, such as Mighty the Armadillo, Shadow the Hedgehog, Tails, and Knuckles. Also, every character has a special moveset. Sonic has this ability to do what's called a light dash, which allows him to travel along a line of rings at a super fast pace. He can also do what's called his homing attack, where if you jump and then press the jump button again, you will lock on to the nearest enemy for a quick kind of burst of speed and take out that enemy. Shadow is able to do a quick dash, kind of like Sonic's light dash, but without the need for rings. And Mighty is actually able to store shields. So if he picks up like a electric shield, you can store it into a little bank and use it later if you want to. So a lot more advanced than the original Sonic 1. The game was built by a group called Team Megamix, which was led by a developer named Stealth. Again, I'm not sure if that's his given name, but that's what we know him as. So Stealth was a founding member of the really early Sonic hacking scene, and he was kind of integral to it because he was known for creating popular Sonic hacking tools such as Son Ed, which is a really useful tool in getting into the code of the old games. Today, Stealth operates under the business known as Headcanon. Now, Headcanon worked alongside someone known as Christian Whitehead, who also was a Sonic hacker and went on to create Sonic Mania in 2017 officially for Sega. Sonic Mega Mix has not been officially sold, so we don't have any cool numbers on it, as it's a fan project, but this is one of the examples where there are plenty of bootleg cartridges available online. Not saying you should go out and buy a bootleg cartridge of a game that you could support the creators of for free, just saying that I guess it was technically released, but yeah, it's available for free on almost every hacking website. But I think this is kind of a cool situation, right? So you have these two people, Christian Whitehead and Stealth, who are widely known for their ability to make good Sonic games, but for the fans. And Sega's like, we have trouble making good Sonic games. Maybe we need you guys to make the good Sonic games now. And they brought him in. So that's really cool.
And Sonic Mania sold very well.
It did. Yeah. It sold, it certainly sold better than some of other Sega's games and sold better than Sonic Forces, which came out the next year.
Yes. Well, hopefully everyone learned something today and enjoyed our Hacks and Mod episode. Special thanks to SSG Infinite Sonic for recommending this episode for us. Check them out on Twitch and give them a follow, as I'm sure they would appreciate the follow and the like and the subscribe on Twitch. So help out a fan, help us help them. To wrap everything up, we're going to talk about our buy, wait, pass. Zach, what are you excited about buying, waiting, or passing on?
Seth, the game that I'm excited about buying, waiting, or passing on is a game called Glitchpunk, which I hadn't heard of until today. So Glitchpunk is developed by Dark Lord and being published by our buddies over at Daedalic Entertainment, who I think we've mentioned a couple of times for buy, wait, pass stuff, but we haven't mentioned for recently played stuff. So I don't know if that's indicative of their quality of their games, but I just know that we've mentioned their name a lot. Glitchpunk is slated for release in early access in Q2 of 2021. It is inspired by top-down action games, and it lets you brawl, shoot, and drive your way through a dystopian future. You play as an android bounty hunter in a brutal world of gangs, cults, and corporations. And there's, according to the game, plenty of work for you. It is available as a demo as of the recording of this episode. As of the release of this episode, I don't believe it will be available as a demo anymore because it was part of the Steam little festival that went on until about February 9th. But I'm going to give the demo a shot if I hadn't already, and I'll put it down as a wait. We'll see if I like it. I do like cyberpunk style games. I don't actually have the cyberpunk style game, but I do like games of the cyberpunk genre.
The dystopic.
I do like
future
dystopian setting and the kind of Blade Runner-esque cyberpunk stuff. So I'm looking forward to trying it out. I'm going to give the demo a shot. And that means I'm going to be waiting on it, in case that's not clear. So Seth, what are you going to be playing? What are waiting on? What are you going to be buy, waiting, or passing on?
So the game that I'm looking forward to is a game called Song of Farca.
I like the name of
And I think it's a fun game. It reminds me of Farkas from the Christmas Story, but only because only because Zachary and I have watched that movie more times than anyone should have ever watched that movie, and will continue to watch that movie more times than it needs to be watched. Well, anyway, so Song of Farca has nothing to do with Christmas or the story of Christmas, and in fact, it has to do with playing as someone named Isabella Song, who is a hacker and a private investigator, and your job is to hack cameras, phones, and computers and question suspects to solve the mystery. And yeah, I mean, it's like right up my alley when it comes to being an adventure game where you have hacking components, which are a lot of fun for both of those, as I think our audience will know by now that I'm a fan of adventure games. But I think part of this is also that whenever I see like hacking in a game, I see it happen in a lot like action-y type games like Watch Dogs or Cyberpunk, where like the hacking component is part of the action game, where Song of Farca is an adventure game. So hopefully it'll be a little more slower paced kind of hacking. I'm just interested in seeing their take on the hacking story, as it were. And I thought that it would be an appropriate game to talk about in an episode about mods and hacks. See, I themed my stuff, unlike you, who just wanted to talk about being an android bounty hunter. Honestly, based on the art style and based on the story, I'm probably going to buy it. Its release date's kind of in the future, but I will have played a demo of it, so I'll probably buy it. So I'm going to put that down as just as a buy. Put it at like a 90% buy.
Nice. That's cool. I will give that game a look at too, because I like hacking games, which is fitting for this episode. It
is fitting. See, well,
Seth,
that brings us to the end of the show. So we're gonna get into the end of the show type situation that we do. So I'm gonna do it, since Zachary did it last time and he wants to take a nap, because apparently that's what we do at the end of every of our episodes, is take naps. Hopefully you're not napping, listener. I mean, if you are, that's fine. More power to you if you use this as ASMR and just put us on right before you go to bed. Listen to our whole catalog that way. We all win. There's a couple things that we like to talk about at the end of every episode, and that's how to contact us, support us, and to listen to us. So in order to contact us, you can send us an email at classicgamingbrothers@gmail.com. classicgamingbrothers.com. You can, if you would like, you can also send it to Seth at classicgamingbrothers.com, Zach at classicgamingbrothers.com, or classicgamingbrothers at classicgamingbrothers.com. Either way, you could do that. You can also head on over to our website, which is classicgamingbrothers.com, and you can go to the Contact Us section of the website, and you can fill out a form, and that form will send the email over to our email box, and we will answer it in kind. We love getting emails from fans. We always respond to them, and we really appreciate the feedback. Even if it's just you listen to the episode and you just want to shoot us over something quick, by all means, we love reading it. We like making sure that you guys are engaged and are enjoying the episodes. So in order to listen to us, while you're on our website, you can head over to the lounge, and that's just a fun way to say our media player on the website, where you can just click the play button. You can just listen to episodes right in your browser. And if that is not convenient enough for you, you can get us on whatever listening app that you already use. So if you already use Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, whatever you already use to listen to your podcast or music, search for us and you can find us there. And you can just subscribe to us on those applications. And when we drop a new episode, it will be on Sunday, so you can look out for those. It'll just come right into your feed and you can listen to us there. We are on most applications, so just search around. And finally, to support us. So right away, right now, if you're listening to this audio, you are supporting us. We appreciate you getting this far in the episode. We appreciate you listening to us, and we appreciate you supporting and coming back and listening to us every week. Even if you listen to every other episode or skip episodes you think are boring, or listen to us in arrears, so maybe you're a couple episodes behind what the actual schedule is, that's fine. We try to make our content I would say our content is always accessible. I think that these games we talk about are either out or not out, so there you go, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they're still there. These games are still either out or they're still not out yet. But even if you're getting into this episode and we're 40 episodes ahead of you, don't worry, just enjoy it. And if there's an episode that you like up ahead in the future, check it out. If there's an episode in the past that you didn't listen to, check it out. There's no need to be a completionist of listening to every episode of us. So that's one way you can support us, by listening to most of our episodes. Another way you can support us is by giving us a like or a review. Reviews go a long way for podcasts. On the application, they go a lot longer than, say, like a review on, like, I don't know, like a comment on a YouTube channel. I feel like a review for a podcast goes a distance, and it shows something, and it shows that this is a podcast that you enjoy and that others should enjoy as well. And so we wouldn't mind if you told a few of your friends that you listen to us. Don't be embarrassed, and say, I have this show that I like to listen to. It's called Classic Gaming Brothers, and it's really niche. All right, we know that we have no rhyme or reason to the episodes, so you can't really tell somebody that you could expect a certain pattern or story, but we hope that you enjoy what the episodes are. And if you have any feedback, that's another way you can support us. Send us the feedback and tell us what we can be doing differently, or tell us to keep it up. Oh, by the way, you can also support us by going to our social medias. So we do have social media channels. We have a Facebook, an Instagram, a Twitter, and a Twitch. Facebook and Instagram are easily searched under Classic Gaming Brothers. Our Twitter is CG Brothers Pod, and our Twitch is twitch.tv/Classic Gaming Brothers. On Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, we announce whenever our new episodes drop. So you can follow us, and you should get some notification once you start following us whenever the new episode drops. I think that covers it. Zach, did I miss anything else?
Don't play games like my brother.
And don't play games like my brother.
I've been Zach.
And I've been Seth.
And we've been the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right. Oh, thank gosh. I'm just going to bed. That's the funny thing. Good night. Good fight. Remember Celebrity Deathmatch? That was such a like the claymation. That was such a fun show to just watch. We should have a Celebrity Deathmatch.